Hi, everybody out there in YouTube land. It's Ken Iverson. I'm back in Kent, Washington, USA, near Seattle. And this segment, I'm going to do something a little different than the way we have been doing this evening or this morning. It's now uh, Tuesday morning, 1:37 in the morning on August 31st, 2010. And this is going to be an all-nighter. It takes a while to process the video after I record it, and I have to wait for that, and then I have to record another one and wait for that. So we're going to try to get through this segment all at one time tonight. If not, we'll do two segments. So here we go. Uh, I promised you that I would read to you an article from the Stanford Daily about the early civil rights movement, the Stanford part in the early civil rights movement. And I'm dedicating this to Cary Toland, Toland, Cary, Cary. I got him wrong as Gary the first time we met on Facebook a couple days ago over the weekend. So it's Cary Toland. And this is dedicated to you, Cary. You said you were 6 years old when Martin Luther King was assassinated, so that means that you were born in well, he was assassinated in '68, in April of '68, so you were born in '62. That's the year that I was a sophomore in college. I was in Italy during '62, and Stanford in Italy, Group 5, via Piazzola in Florence, in Firenze, and parla Italiano. And so that's where I was in 1962 when you were born. And as I mentioned in a video earlier this evening or yesterday, I can't remember which now, there's some people who live down the hall from me, Abdi and Fatima Barut, and they speak Italian because Somalia. They're from Somalia. They're black people from Somalia. Somalia was a former Italian colony in Africa after the partition of Africa in 1895. So anyway, here we go. This is for you, Cary. You suggested that I may put some of this down in the media or in. You didn't mention YouTube specifically, but I took the hint and I'm doing this now for you. Here we go. I have three things I want to show you. The first is the reason that the Stanford students went to Mississippi at this particular time was because there was a mock election being held. The mock election was a black candidate for governor called Aaron Henry. Aaron Henry is a legend in the South or all over, and they put him up for governor to show that the black vote could be influential in the South and Southern politics, particularly in Mississippi. And the election was held on November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and this was in 1963. And the Stanford group that I went with, the five of us that I mentioned in a previous video, left Stanford. It must have been about October 28th or 29th, because the article I'm going to read you from the Stanford Daily is from Halloween, October 31st, 1963. Let me tell you the weather. San Francisco Bay Area. Fair today and tomorrow. Warmer today. Low 44 through 50. High 72 through 78. Gentle wind. There was anything but a gentle wind blowing at Stanford on that day. And in the South, things were being stirred up. There was a howling wind at that time. So let me go on. Let me show you the handbill for Aaron Henry. This was distributed. I saved this, and I'm going to send this to a copy of this. I'm going to keep the original. Originally, I was going to send the original to Obama, but I think I'm going to send the copy to Obama. I just made 10 of them. I'm hoping you can see this. I'll put it up and down here. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Can you see that? Yeah, that's Aaron Henry. That's the black man who was running for governor in the mock election. That was in 1963. You can see there November 5th and 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And in the article I'll read you, you'll find out more about that. But that's the handbill That's from 1963. That was being distributed in the black parts of town, wherever we went, in Jackson or Greenville or Yazoo City or wherever the hell we were. And this is that's a handbill that we distributed in getting black people to register to vote. So you've seen that. Now I want to show you something else, another picture. Remember I mentioned that Allard Lowenstein and Dennis Sweeney were two of my heroes. Dennis Sweeney killed Allard Lowenstein. Allard Lowenstein was Dean of Men or Dean of Freshman Men, I don't remember which, but at Stanford, and he enlisted us to go to the South to participate in this registration drive at that time. And Sweeney was in the front of the line, and I was in the second group. Sweeney was in the first group. And when I heard Sweeney come back from Mississippi, I knew that I had to go there. And that's why I went with these other four young men from Stanford. We were young men at that time. Well, three of them were from Stanford, and one of them was someplace else. So anyway, this is a picture. I'm going to show this to you now. Let's see if I can. Can you see that? Okay, that's how we're going to do this here. That's a picture of Rinconada House. You can see down there at the bottom. It says Rinconada House, and what does it say? Spring of 1962, I believe that says. Is that right? Yeah, spring of 1962. Rinconada House was one of 8 houses at Stanford that all freshman men lived in. This was my freshman year at Stanford. And there were Soto House and Otero, and I don't recall the names of the others, but there are 8 houses, and all Stanford men lived in Wilbur Hall. Rinconada House was one of the dormitories, and there was about 80 of us in that, and that was the group there. And this says spring, but this would have been in winter this was taken, because this is a night that I was elected president of Rinconada House, and Sweeney was elected secretary-treasurer. And that night, I remember, a funny little story, that night, I'll put this down now, and I'll show it to you in a minute here. Well, first of all, let me point out here, what do we got here? This is where Larry got. See where, let's see, how are we going to do this? That's Dennis Sweeney, if I can get this. Dennis Sweeney is right here. See where my finger is? Right above my finger? That's Dennis Sweeney. That's what he looked like in 1962. And I am over this way. I am the second row down, second one from the right. I think that's me. Yeah, that's me. And that's what I looked like in 1962. And, of course, you know what I look like now. And that night, this was in January. It wasn't spring. It was January of 1962. I was elected president of Rinconada House. And that evening, some of my classmates, my Stanford freshman classmates, had bought 2 Japanese fighting fish. And they were selling, they were putting him in the same tank, and they were fighting to the death. And they were charging admission. These Stanford freshmen were charging admission to watch these fighting fish fight. I'm laughing to keep from crying. And I thought this was outrageous. And I said so when I gave my speech after I had been nominated for president of Rinconada House. I told them, I said, you should be ashamed of yourself. What are you doing? These are fish. They deserve to live as much as we do. Don't put them in the same tank. They'll kill each other. And I guess I'm still doing the same thing. I don't want people to kill each other in Afghanistan or Iraq or any place else for that matter. So anyway, I was elected president that night on the basis of being opposed to the Japanese fighting fish. That was my platform. I was opposed to Japanese fighting fish. I don't even remember the names of them now, but I had a Japanese fighting fish here a couple of years ago that one of my sisters gave to me for Christmas, and I kept it for a while, and it died. I didn't have another Japanese fighting fish, and I never would, and I buried it out in the I live in the second floor, and I buried it out in the I made a little box, a little matchbox, and put the fish in and buried it and had a little ceremony. Just me and the fish. So anyway, that's the story of how I got elected president. And Sweeney was elected secretary-treasurer that night. And this was in January 1962. How are we doing on time? Oh boy, we're running out of time. We're going to have another segment. So I showed you the picture. I showed you the Aaron Henry handbill. I showed you Sweeney. Let me just run down here. Let me look and see if I remember the names of these people. This is a long time ago. There's Jim Mago in the front row here. There's Bob Harward. He was a friend of mine. He lived right across the hall in Rinconada House. We studied together for Biology 1 and for Western Civ. Here's John Ellerton. We were in Italy together. Italy 5. Via della Piazzola. That's it's a Queen Victoria villa. When she came to Florence in the 19th century, the end of the 19th century, I believe it was, they would stay at Villa San Paolo, and that's where we stayed. That's where the Stanford students, there were 80 of us, 40 men and 40 women, on separate floors at this villa. And that's where Queen Victoria, I believe it was Queen Victoria, one of those queens, stayed when she came to Florence. And then there's Ned Bergstrom. He was a brilliant mathematician, as I recall. He was from Bellingham, which is north of where I am now. And then there was, how we doing on time? We got plenty of time. There's Alan Hager. I remember him. He joined a fraternity. Probably the best thing that ever happened to him. He came out, he really blossomed. He was very shy his freshman year. Then there's this guy, I can't remember his name. I'm looking at him now. He was a brilliant thespian. He was really wonderful. He did Shakespeare in that, and he was specialized. He was a very good. And then there's Ken Tolan. I believe that was his name, Tolan. He was a very good football player. I played intramural football at Stanford in my freshman year, and we were very good. Our dormitory team, the Rinconada House, we played flag football, and Tolan was a quarterback, and I was a halfback, and I played defensive back. I remember we played a fraternity in the playoffs, and I got over enthusiastic, and I tackled. They threw the ball to one of the fraternity ends, and I tackled the guy. This was touch football. I tackled him, and he got up, and he was pretty disgusted. And I never backed down from a fight. I didn't get into a fight with him, but anyway, that was so much for that. Then there's, let's see, who we got here? Ned Bergstrom. We got Doug Schwab. He was from Portland. And then Dennis Sweeney, next to Schwab. And what do we got here? We got let's see, Don Hughes. Don Hughes was brilliant. He was straight A in high school, as we all were at that time at Stanford. I was straight A from 7th grade through the 12th grade. I was valedictorian and captain of the football team and president of my senior class and inspirational award. I was captain of the football team, inspirational award winner. You can see the flag over my shoulder back there. It's in a little cup. That's the inspirational award, and you can't see it there, but I was on the best basketball team in the state of Washington in 1960-61. I was 8th man on that team, and I have a picture on my wall still. We were undefeated throughout the season. We lost to Garfield of Seattle in the 3rd game of the state tournament, and we came in 3rd, and Garfield came in 1st. And that's my one regret from high school. My one regret is we did not win the state tournament when I was a senior. And if anybody could say that, then they had a pretty good high school career, I would say. That's my single regret from high school. We did not win the state tournament. In those days, if you're watching this now, in those days there was only one classification. Now there are 4 or 5. At that time, everybody in the state, big and small, played in the same tournament. And we're getting out of time here. Let me see. In the back row is Tom Isola. We were in Italy together. And then there's Kerry Cook. You look him up on Facebook. Kerry Cook, Kook, Carey. I believe, and he has a dynamite thing. We're running out of time here, so let me say this is Ken Iverson and Kent Washington. I'll be back with another segment in a minute.